Orlando, welcome to the OZone podcast, the voice of Magic fans.
Another Magic podcast?
Oh, man.
Wait. I know what you're thinking, but I promise you, these are going to be a little different. Check this out. Welcome back to another episode of the OZone podcast, the voice of Magic fans. In the studio today, we have Al, Justin, Mark, and myself, Anthony. Welcome back, guys.
How's it going?
What's going on?
Man, so we got another week in. It kind of feels like this week took a little longer. And like we had our podcast on that Thursday. Normally we do it on Sunday. So it feels like we haven't been able to talk to the Magic fans for a good week and a half. But really excited to get back to it with you guys.
Yes, definitely.
Same here, man. This is like church for me.
It is. I actually missed you guys. I'm like, man, it's been a week and a half. It felt like a really long week, but we are here today. So
we are here.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, and that week and a half, so many things have happened. So
Yeah.
we got a jam-packed podcast. So let's jump right into it with the numbers. So currently our record right now, we are 5-7. We're sitting 8th, tied with Brooklyn in the East. Previously, we were at 14 last time we talked, so jumping from 14 to 8 kind of feels like the East right now is just a really close race. I get it's still like early on, but the fact that literally one win, one loss can really change your seeding already. So that's a fun take to look at. Right now, we're sitting 3rd in the Southeast Division. Offense is getting better. Points per game, we're at 100.3 at 29th in the league. Last time we spoke, we were at 30th, so improvements there. Still sitting at 30th in 3-point percentage at 29.5. Offensive rating 101.9, 29th. We were last week at 30th, so up 1. Defensively, points allowed 99.1, so that puts us in first. So we were in second last week. Now we're in first place leading the league. Blocked 6.6, so we're second in the league. Where were we last week? I think we were
fifth.
Yeah.
So we went from 5th to 2nd place in the league. That's awesome. Defensive rating 101.7 puts us in 5th in the league. So a lot of changes. It kind of feels like the boys are playing really well together now. Our shots are falling. We're seeing more of those games where we're hitting over that 100-point mark. A lot of games since our last podcast. So just a week in review. We have a win against Memphis, 118-86. Loss against Indiana, 109-102. Win against Sixers, 112-97, and a win versus the Spurs, 111-109.
Man, it just feels like we could easily be 4-0 right now. Exactly a week ago, that game against Indiana, we had that game, man. We were up at halftime by double digits. The team was clicking, and then the second half happened, which unfortunately we did not play with the same energy, and that costed us a game, unfortunately. But I did predict the week to be 3-1. I predicted us to lose to San Antonio, but ended up being Indy instead. But it was a really good week for the team. They're playing much better than what they were doing last time we met. They look like the team of last year. They're fighting. Every game is competitive. I don't know about you guys, but I've learned the first 3 quarters just kind of watch and chill. That fourth quarter will be high energy, will be a lot of sweaty palms. But that's the magic for you. I enjoy that. Every game that we're watching is we're fighting, we're competitive. So I'm actually excited for what we saw this week, and I'm hoping tonight against Washington, we end the homestand with a win. So great week for us.
Yeah, I agree with you. We easily could have gone 4-0. Like you said, the Indiana game was just the second half is what killed us. The effort, kind of died down a little bit. But 3-4, we got 3 wins out of the last 4 games. I'm expecting a win tonight against the Wizards. One thing that kind of stood out to me, that Memphis game, Ja Morant was on a tear in the NBA. I think he only scored 8 points against us.
That's
so
right.
That's a lot of credit to our guard helps right there. But overall, I mean, we could have gone 4-0. It could have been a big, and we're heading into our toughest part of the schedule, probably this next month coming up. So we have a lot of momentum going into that. So for me, I'm really excited.
I agree. I think for that Memphis game, J.I. had like a breakout game. That's where we saw like not a first glimpse, because we kind of saw a little bit of it in other games, but that was the first game where we were like J.I. could really take over defensively and offensively. So that was really good. During Indiana, it kind of felt like we reverted back to a lot of the things that we struggled with last season.
Yep.
During early last season, and that was sloppy defense. Although defense is like our calling card, during that game it just felt like there were times that we kind of gave up on defense a lot, and we let Indiana score easy points, which obviously hurt us in the end.
A lot of mid-range jumpers.
Yeah,
a lot of those.
A lot of those.
And then during the 76ers game, that was all defense towards the end of the game. That was beautiful. It kind of, showed that the guys were in it to win it. A lot of times down the stretch, it feels like, they not necessarily give up, but they kind of slack off a little bit. And that was a game that they held together the whole way through. And then the Spurs win. Oof, that was beautiful.
That was huge.
Evan Fournier came through with the big game.
Probably the most exciting game of the year.
Definitely the most exciting game.
For me, the Spurs game was by far the most important one.
Right.
One because it's a big team from the West, right? They have really good players. We're playing against a really good coach, and it was a game where I went into it not thinking positively. We weren't gonna have Jonathan Isaac. The rotation's already been kind of all over the place. Now you're throwing in Aminu, who really hasn't had a whole lot of minutes. His minutes are sporadic, so I was a little concerned. But it was a game where Aminu really stepped up.
He did.
You had really big plays from your boy Evan Fournier.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, you had Terrence Ross that really came out from the bench and looked like the Human Torch that we know. So it was a really big team effort. Aaron Gordon played really well. It was a game that I feel this team needed because it's a reminder of what this team can be.
That's a good point.
Exactly.
So it was a really good win.
And I will say, there's a lot of people who are not necessarily happy with Aminu's play up to this point on the team. But if you watched him in Portland, he was a starter, right? He was part of a starting team who went to the Western Conference Finals and made that competitive, right? He's the type of player that has to play real minutes. He's not a plug-and-play player. He's not a guy that you can give, 5 minutes here and there and kind of just hope that he goes off. That's more like what Terrence Ross is tailored to do. So it was just nice to see Aminu play real minutes and to actually thrive in that role.
And you look at it and it's kind of like when we picked him up in free agency, it was like, oh, why are we adding another big? Why? We already have so many. But he was the perfect complement. He was a perfect add-on. It instantly made sense. Okay, that's why we got Aminu. That's why we have him in the event that, because he can fill in for your Jonathan Isaac, he can fill in for your Aaron Gordon. So if you're missing that key player, Aminu is a player that, again, like you said, if you give him sufficient minutes, he's going to go out there, he's going to hustle.
That's right.
I think in one of the interviews, someone even tied in the phrase "heart and hustle" with him, so you really did see that.
Yeah, and that's what he brings to the table. He brings that competitive edge. He brings that guy you can count on to just play defense, rebound, hustle, which, again, we need. We talked about last week how our team is a little soft. There's two guys right now that you look at on the court. You're like, man, actually three, if you want to include Fultz in there, that you're like, those guys will bring it. Yeah. That is Markelle Fultz, MCW, and Aminu. And I don't mind them being out there. I know they're not great shooting-wise. And of course, we know Fultz struggling a little bit for three-point range. But they will fight for every loose ball, every loose rebound out there. They'll go grab it. And that was a big factor, again, even in San Antonio this week. Just those little plays that don't count for much on the stat sheet, but they make a big difference in the game.
Right. That's what I was going to say. There was various plays, especially during that San Antonio game, where the play could, they could have given up on the play, and Aminu made that extra effort, pushed full court run, try to get a block, a steal. That's the energy that MCW brings, which earns him those minutes. But you can't really argue with the fact that Aminu is a better scorer.
Oh, for sure.
But it is one of those things where MCW plays better with lesser minutes because he doesn't have an impact on offense. And if Aminu doesn't have an impact on offense, his defense is not necessarily as good as MCW.
And I think it worked out that we were able to have in our schedule 5 straight games at home. Before we're able to go out and go against these teams out on the road, we have to be able to show that we can protect home first. Right. I feel that now that we're getting into that flow, our game is only going to get better now that we're playing against the teams on the road. So that's going to be exciting.
Momentum.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think a good sign, too, is if you look at these games, the win against Memphis, Philly, and the Spurs, the big theme for me, at least, is the fact that they played really well in the fourth quarters. The defense locked down, and we took, again, either deficits or leads that we had and extended it in that fourth quarter. So that's huge for our team. We know last year, even earlier in the year, we were struggling with closing out games. It was kind of fun to just see us hit big shots and get defensive stops. get the big rebounds. While we still have guys like Vucevic not shooting really well, we still have, Ross just picked it up recently.
Right.
So even through those struggles, we're finding ways to win games against good teams. So that was the most important thing for me this week is how we looked in the fourth quarter.
And what I really like to see, or what I liked seeing, was that Coach Cliff, towards the end of the Spurs, he was really changing the rotation based on the needs of the game at the moment.
Yes.
So when he needed the free throw shooting, he put DJ Augustine in.
Yes.
When he needed defense, he put an all defensive lineup.
Which was awesome to see.
So closing out, it was a point that it was Aminu, MCW, Markel Fultz. Like, he put defensive players in there that he knew for a fact
Could
was
get
going to
stops.
get exactly the efficient team to be able to get the stop and play the right.
So I think
type
what
of
you're saying,
defense.
Anthony, is that he listens to our podcast. We were begging for that to happen, and I'm actually excited to see Ross playing big minutes again.
Right.
That makes a huge difference. Just the fact you got to guard him and put that guy on him now creates more space for Isaac, Gordon, Fultz to go to the basket. So even the first half of the Spurs game, he was struggling. He wasn't hitting that many shots. He had like 6 points by half.
Right.
But then he hit a couple threes, and it all changed. Our offense just kind of kept rolling. You got to guard him. So the fact that he's playing 30 minutes, I think right now over the last 2 games, just makes our team that much better.
And just to add on Ross, if he developed his handles, his ball handling, he would be so much better because he would have an impact. There's times where he tries to kind of take one-on-one and get these dribbles going, but it doesn't work for him. He usually turns the ball over. And coming off the screens and hitting big threes is super important, and it gives us a lot of life. But I think he could impact the game so much more, and he could be a primary option, in a bigger part of the game if he developed his ball handling a little bit more.
And there was even a play where he, everyone knows that Terrence Ross is a 3-point shooter, so that threat is already there. But there was a play where he made a pump fake and then took it to the lane. The fact that he's able to add that to his game and do that consistently is what's going to help.
Guessing.
Exactly, it's going to spread the floor so much more for everyone else.
Right.
But let's get to the juice. So this past week there was a lot of different things that's been added on to our Magic world, right? The very first thing I want to talk about, you guys, is it's the new City Edition jerseys. How do you guys feel about it?
I am not a fan. I know you guys, we were texting, back and forth when they released, and I think it was you, Ant, that you said they were growing on you a little bit. For me, it just feels like it's too simple. If you were gonna pay tribute, to the city, there was much more that you could do. Even the promo video felt like it was missing a little bit of actual Orlando, and it feels like it is tailored more so to the tourist of the city, more so than the actual like diehard fans that live here, go to every game, and that's why I was a little bit disappointed.
I'm kind of 50-50 with it. It is a different look. It's definitely far away from our original white, black, and blue colors. For me, I told Alvaro today I have to see it in person, along with the new court theme as well. So I don't want to judge too much on it. The only thing I will say is the only reason why I'm against it because Jonathan Isaac already got hurt on the uniform. We haven't even used it yet, so I don't know if that's bad luck or not.
Yeah,
but
I think I said that we were 0-1 already in the uniform before even playing the game. I like the uniforms. I didn't at first because it kind of seemed a little plain. Great. I'm glad that we took the risk of the color scheme. I think it was an amazing idea. I've never been a fan of the space uniforms. I didn't get it. The thing for me is we're not the Central Florida Magic. We're the Orlando Magic.
That's right.
There has to be some level of connection there. But really looking at it, though, my biggest complaint would be the fact that the report came out that we kind of stuck to that gray because Nike really pushed that onto us, right? I don't like that. I don't like the fact that anything was pushed onto us.
Correct.
We should be able to make all full decisions. Great, put your input,
For sure.
but the final decision should be us. Shouldn't be forced by Disney. Shouldn't be enforced by Nike.
Anybody.
But I do like the uniforms. At first I didn't, now I do. And the biggest thing for me was the idea of how great those jerseys are going to look when they're on that court.
Yeah.
And the whole entire, there was a picture that I saw on the internet where they were already working on the banners. And just the banners in the arena, orange, the court orange, the uniforms. I think full orange probably would have been too much, so I like the dynamics of the multi-tone. The only thing I would have liked to see different was I feel like pinstripes need to be a staple for us. I think there's no other team in the NBA that can rock the pinstripes the way that we rock them.
For sure.
The Bulls try, though. The Bulls try.
They try. Yeah, but there's no one's touching us when it comes to the pinstripes.
Right.
And then I would have liked a little more creativity with the ORL. Like I would have liked to see like maybe an orange for the O, or even if it didn't say ORL at all, if it just said Magic and then add the star back to the A. I feel like that's another staple that we could have took advantage.
I agree.
What doesn't concern me is that this jersey is only going to be around for a year. It's just this 1 year, and then next year they make their changes and make their things, but then they go from there.
Don't you feel like Orlando, like as an organization, has been criticized for not really being creative when other teams step out of the box consistently? And I think they just added more fuel to that. This was like, this is different. You step away from the pinstripes, you step away from the blue, white, and black. But it was a safe bet.
And that's what the Magic do. They're known for that. They play it safe. Now, like you, Anthony, I actually like it. So when I first saw them, like a little plain, not what we maybe expected. But I like the dynamic of the colors, that gray, that orange. And they added some really good detail to the shorts. So they get somewhat creative, just not what we expected. For me, like you said, Anthony, the ORL piece of the jersey, I would have liked to see there something more creative. Throw a star in there, throw an orange in there, something like just to kind of add more to the fact that it's a city edition jersey. But again, I want to see it next week on the 29th. They're actually debuting it here in Orlando against the Raptors. We'll get the full look of the court, the jerseys, the banners. So I think once all that goes live, it will look really cool.
It's going to be exciting.
So I actually like it.
And one of the pictures that the Magic have posted, for a split second, the uniforms actually look black and red to me. So I'm not sure if it's a lighting thing. I'm not sure if I'm colorblind, but I'm interested to see how they really look on in person and then two on the screen when watching the game. So
yeah,
it's interesting. I think everyone will have a way better idea once we really get to see them. So in other news, we have a report from Kevin O'Connor from The Ringer. He says that Magic have shown interest in trading for a scorer, specifically DeMar DeRozan from the Spurs. How do you guys feel about that?
I know we went back and forth on this. We were talking about it on our group chat. It makes sense to some degree. So you cannot deny the fact that we need a scorer. And not a scorer that just can put up 16, 18 points. Just a guy you can say, hey, we're down 2, go get me a bucket. And that's what he can do. Yes. He can go to the basket. He can get you a mid-range. He's got that Kobe-esque post-game and little fakes that he does to get scoring. And we saw that on Friday watching the game against the Spurs. Only thing that we all agreed with is he's not a three-point shooter. And what we need is that expansion, that player that can expand out to shoot threes and just keep the defense guessing. That Ross type of guy that can also finish in the basket. So that's not him. But if you can get him for cheap and not give up a lot for him, that would make sense. Now, salaries-wise, a little difficult. How do you make that work? It has to be Fournier. It's got to be some sort of DJ Augustine, Mo Bamba.
He's trying to throw Evan Fournier.
I know.
Throw a young piece in there.
Just to give me a super dirty look right now. You guys can't see it, but I'll keep going here. But it's got to be that package. Where's that Fournier plus something decent, right? So do we want to give that up for a guy that's only going to be here for possibly a year? I don't think he's a max player. So if he does re-sign with us over the summer, you could probably bring him for about $18 million, $20 million a year. He's 31 years old. I don't think in his mind he's expecting a large contract, meaning a max in this case. So it could work out. It just depends what the dynamics of it would be to bring him here. My take would be, though, if you got Fournier or him right now, keep Fournier. Find a different way to get a player that can score.
Yeah. So I think. It was.
You see what I did? I came back. We're good now, right?
Thank you.
After one big game.
Yes, that's the thing, though.
It was interesting to see Orlando play against the Spurs because you kind of got to see that like contrast of DeMar playing, with Fournier playing, and you could kind of analyze how each of them play and who would you prefer in your system. DeMar is an all-star, multi-time all-star. He is a consistent scorer. He could create from himself, like Steve said, outside of the pick and roll, which in our offense, it feels like a lot of our scoring comes from the pick and roll. So I think he would be a benefit in that way. But I also feel like what Al said is correct. We do need shooters. Our three-point shooting is struggling. And DeMar is not going to help us in that realm. So I wouldn't especially now for Evan Fournier. that wouldn't be a trade piece for me. Yeah, I think that's it. I wouldn't trade for DeMar, not at this point, not after what I saw from him, the last game. Actually, down the stretch, they were down by 3, right? I think they were down by 3 or something like that. There was 30 seconds left in the game, and DeMar had the ball in the corner, and he got trapped. There was a double team, and he couldn't shoot out of it. He had to pass to LaMarcus Aldridge to take a crazy 3-point shot.
Rudy Gay.
Rudy Gay. Sorry.
Oh, that's what it was.
So that's what it was. DeMar in that situation, he can't shoot it. Even during other times in the game where he's had open 3-point shot opportunities, he didn't take them. So we can't have a guy like that on our team, especially when we're near the bottom of the league in 3-point shooting. Actually, we are last in 3-point shooting. So
for me, I'm not really sold on picking up DeRozan. Yes, he's a multi-time All-Star. He does bring a lot of scoring. He's a professional scorer in this league. But for me, I would prefer to keep Fournier over him. He's on, 31 years old, you said? 31. He's only a 28% career 3-point shooter. That feeds our weakness, so I don't think that'll be a smart move as well. He will bring scoring, go-to score.
Yeah.
We don't have that person that can really, really, really get us a bucket in the fourth quarter. Fournier is that person for us right now. Obviously, grabbing DeRozan would be an upgrade for that. For me, I don't think it's worth it. I wouldn't like the Magic to just pull that trigger on that one. I would like to pull a trigger on a guy like Adam Levine, Zach LaVine, Bradley Beal, somebody.
not Adam Levine.
No, not the singer. Just somebody a little bit more younger, somebody we can still include in our future. Like you said, DeRozan going to be a 1-year rental, so I don't think it's worth it.
This is the voice of Magic fans, not the voice. So for me, it doesn't make sense. Contract-wise, it doesn't make sense. I strongly believe, there was reports out that the Knicks were really going to push for Masai Ujiri. I believe that if Masai does or takes a chance and does leave, there's a big opportunity for him to go back to Toronto. I think it makes sense. And he's the one person that took him away, and he would have to consider it, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So if you add a player like that to our roster, the only way that you do it is if you are already an elite 3-point shooting team, where you don't need that additional support from behind the arc. He is a good shooter, just not from behind the 3. I think the last I saw, he was second in the NBA in mid-range jump shots. So he can definitely shoot. He can penetrate. He can get you that bucket. He can score. I've always been a believer that it does take just one player to change a franchise, and I think that he is a caliber player that can do that. I just don't think that he's the right fit. Could Jonathan Isaac be that guy? Probably. Could Evan Fournier be that guy? That's a different story. But
He's lived up to the role so far.
He showed that
credit.
he can be productive. So if we're not that I'm comparing the two, I just don't think that what we would have to give up for DeMar DeRozan would be beneficial for our team now and in the long term.
That's right. If we had, the bad salary that we had with Mozgov, then that would have made sense. Give him up with a pick or something, that makes sense. But to give up, again, a piece that is doing well for us and that can shoot in a Fournier type of player, the other option would be someone like Aaron Gordon, and that we're not even going to go there because that's not happening.
There's an interesting point, too, that the Spurs are, on a 5-game losing streak?
Yeah.
This might be, a year where Pop says it's over, and they might have a fire sale. You never know. If that's the case, and you could get them for, cheap, if Pop is wanting, future picks or whatever the case is, then that might be a move. But again, I wouldn't give up one of our most consistent scorers, one of our high point scorers, for a guy that you don't know how long he's going to be here.
I just feel like a player like that is risky because he didn't decide to go to San Antonio.
Right.
Yeah, he got moved there. So now you're giving him the power, the choice to be able to pick whatever team he wants to go to.
Lakers, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe Lakers. Maybe a team like Detroit where he goes back to his old coach. I mean, there's so many different possibilities.
That's right.
So moving on to the next topic for the Juice. So this one comes from Shams Charania from The Athletic. Multiple teams are reportedly interested in Magic forward Aaron Gordon, should he become available on the market. Those teams are monitoring Gordon, although the Magic have shown no interest in trading him.
And I agree. I wouldn't do so right now. Again, Aaron Gordon is 24 years old. We've gone over this 2 weeks ago. There's still too much potential there to give up on that. We've seen what happened with Oladipo. We saw what happened with Tobias Harris. what's the point now? If you can grab a superstar, and I'm talking not of D'Angelo Russell, to me, he's a good player, scorer, a star, a superstar. I'm talking about somebody who can come here and change our dynamics of our team for the next 5 to 6 years. Okay, but to give him up for somebody who, again, is just going to add a few more points a game for us, I don't think so. So for me, what the Magic are doing, listen to offers. Say we're not doing anything so far. We're just listening right now. If the right offer comes at the right time, make that move. But right now, and I said it 2 weeks ago, I do not see Gordon being traded in December, in February. If anything, it would be over the summer.
You know, it's really interesting because when the season started, Aaron Gordon was on my trade block for sure, right? And everybody thought I was crazy for saying that. I still feel like that. I still feel like that, but I feel Ant is about to like explode right now.
What a way to lead that off.
So I still feel like that, but is he changing my mind a little bit? Yes. The reason why he's changing my mind is because he's more engaged, right? Aaron Gordon is great when he's engaged, when he's vocal, when he's getting his teammates involved. That's the best Aaron Gordon. And that is a player that we can continually have in our lineup and can possibly become a difference maker. But sadly, that is not the player that we see consistently. That's the player that we get glimpses of. And at year 6, again, there has to come a point where you stop seeing glimpses and this is the guy. And he has not become that. So would I let him go for D'Lo? Probably so. Would I let him go in a Bradley Beal trade? Probably so. Because those are guys that have proven that they can do it. You know what I mean? And Aaron Gordon, for me, while he is explosive, while he is super, speedy, he kind of slacks on defense sometimes, and offensively he disappears. And until he proves otherwise, at year 6, those are warning signs that if I was a GM, I'd heed those signs and I'd make a move.
If I'm the Magic, I'm still holding on to this guy. There's still a lot of promise with him. He's only 24 years old. And he's improved every year. I know when it comes to summertime, he's in the gym. He's a gym rat. Even if it's in Orlando, it's in Cali. So he's putting in the work. For me, my biggest issue that's always been with him, he doesn't know how to put it together. His tools. He learns something in the summer, and then when it comes to the game, he just wants to do it, showcase it. You know, I don't think it's a flow for him to do that. My biggest fear with getting rid of Isaac, Gordon is
we do not get rid of Isaac.
Never.
My biggest fear of Gordon is there's so much potential. Is he gonna be that other guy that we trade off and he becomes an all-star? Look at Tobias Harris, look at Victor Oladipo. We lost our patience with those guys, and those guys, are living up, to what their potential was supposed to be. Now, I might strike a little debate with this. If getting rid of Aaron Gordon is something Magic is really interested in, is that going to really push Jonathan Isaac over the hump?
Well, I think
it'll open up a lot for him.
I think it kind of depends, right? Because we saw J.I. play at the 5, and he was a monster at the 5, right? So I think eventually, and this is just speculation and, wishful thinking kind of, I think eventually there could come a point where Vooch gets moved and J.I. plays the 5. And if we can move AG to his natural position at the 4, maybe that can change things. He is also playing out of position. And although, there's this idea that we play in a positionless league nowadays, that's not really the case, especially with guys like Aaron Gordon. He's not, he doesn't shoot well enough, consistently enough to play the 3, in my opinion. So if he could play the 4, J.I. play the 5, maybe that'll ease up,
I like
a little
to see
bit.
Gordon a lot more inside the paint, being as a cutter. 6'9", this guy's super athletic.
There's no reason he should be playing at the wing the way he plays.
He should be inside all the time. I don't want to see him as too much of a ball handler as well.
Right.
I want to see him inside.
We've been way too notorious for letting our young guys go and then them excelling elsewhere.
I agree.
So that would be my only fear in involving anything with Aaron Gordon. Now, with that being said, if the right package did come along, how could you not entertain it?
Right.
I'm a big fan of D'Lo. I'm a big fan of Bradley Beal. We've talked about that numerous times.
CJ.
I wouldn't mind seeing a trade for someone that did bring that offensive power, because again, it's one player can really change a franchise. Now, my only con with it is really the fact that He is still young, 24 years old. Does he have his flaws? Absolutely. There's times where I feel like he just forces everything too much. Very similar to where he had the back-to-back offensive charges that kind of cost us the game.
Right.
But he realizes it, he acknowledges, and then he makes changes. So this is a player that wants to learn, wants to grow, and wants to be that player. I just think that with him, it's just going to take a little more time. Now, are we willing to wait that long is the question. Now, if we're looking at all the players on our roster, I don't see, like, obviously teams are going to ask for Aaron Gordon,
Right.
but I can see players like Evan Fournier, DJ Augustine, guys that, our front office did not provide them a contract. These are Hennigan players that are more likely to part ways with because they still can produce and they're still quality players before any of the players that, our Wilhelm has given.
I mean, yeah. So it'd be Aaron Gordon, Evan Fournier, and DJ, right?
That's about it. Yeah.
Because they re-signed Vooch, so they approve of his play.
Aaron Gordon was also given a contract.
Not with these guys, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gave him the
Makes
4-year,
sense.
$80 million, which was a great deal. And again,
Great
would have gave
contract.
him the max.
Yep.
Yeah, so it is only DJ and Evan.
Just to wrap it up with the Gordon topic, guys. For me, the thing like Mark mentioned is he's a gym rat. This guy, actually just yesterday, I think it was Josh Robbins on Twitter said he's the one guy after every game, every home game, who's out there shooting after every game. So you gotta like that, the passion that he has. Those 2 charges against Dallas, he took it in the chest. You know what? It was my fault. He was in the media talking about it. He wasn't hiding from it. So you like that desire, and the fact that he wants to win and
He
get
wants
better.
it. Yeah, he definitely wants it.
My last take on him is I just think what you're building on with Fultz, Isaac, Gordon, potentially Bamba in the mix, it's a really good core. And if you can develop those guys properly, which our front office has shown they can do, why part ways just yet?
Yeah, so I wish we can get into the minds of our front office because there are times where I feel they are extremely safe, and I'm not really sure if they would be willing to risk such a key player like that for the sake of our future, for the sake of the youth and the core that we have. But let's move on to pass or shoot. So we have a lot of interesting topics that we're going to utilize for this segment. Very first one, Justin, I'm going to lead this off to you because I know you're dying to have this conversation. But let's go with this. So pass or shoot. Fournier is the Magic's best clutch player.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, there's literally no argument. If you watch the Magic consistently, you can't even count the amount of games that Evan has come clutch, during the last 2 minutes of a game, how many game winners he's hit, just his attitude, his desire to be that guy with the ball down the stretch. He doesn't really get shaken. He's our guy. I think there's no other guy with the exception of Terrence Ross at the 3, but there's no other guy on our roster who is willingly looking to take that final shot and is willing to deal with the pressure of making it or missing it like Evan Fournier. And I think that's a mentality standpoint because he believes that he could be the best player on the court. That's really what it is. And when you add in the fact that, when you add in the versatility of his game, that he could shoot the 3-pointer, he could hit the mid-range, he could take it to the lane, he could dunk. He doesn't have the quickest first step or the best handles, but he is always willing to put it on the ground and kind of, take that shot. I think that speaks for who he is as a guy, as a player. And to me, that's something that should be celebrated, not something that you just give away because things aren't working out with the rest of the team. He's not the problem offensively, and he has picked up his defense immensely as well. So I'm shooting on that one.
So I'm shooting as well. So I think for me, with Fournier in particular, he's the one guy, just mentality-wise. When I think clutch, I think of a guy who wants to take that shot, who wants to have the ball in his hands.
He doesn't shy away.
He's the only guy on our team besides Terrence Ross that's comfortable doing that. Everyone else, Vucevic included, I hesitate. Because even Vucevic, when he got fouled against the Spurs on Friday, I'm like, crap, what? She's going to miss that free throw. And he did. He missed the first one. His mindset is not to be that go-to guy when the game's on the line. You can tell Fournier wants the ball. You can tell he wants it. He loves those runners. He loves those 3-pointers. To win the game, he has that passion for it. And he has that cocky attitude that you need to have in that someone. He believes he can make that shot. So for that reason, I'm going to shoot. And again, him and Ross are right there. I don't mind alternating from game to game, depending on what the defense gives you. But he is our best and the best option we have when the game's on the line.
If we go back to that Dallas game where Vooch shot the game winner, had Evan not fouled out, that would have been Evan's shot.
That's right.
And I would have bet that Evan probably would have hit that shot just based on his track record, late game situations.
He deserves to take the shot.
Against the Spurs, he hit 2 super clutch back-to-back three-pointers, one over LaMarcus Aldridge that kind of sealed the game for us. So, this is a guy that, I'm a little biased because, yes, he is my favorite player on the team, one of my favorite players in the league. But this is a guy who is willing to take that shot and has proven that he can hit those shots.
I'm gonna shoot as well. You guys pretty much stole my points. I can't agree with you guys any more than that. As far as our guard play, he is our best ball handler. He is our best pick and roll player. Sometimes his decisions might be a little but when it comes third, fourth quarter, the guy who gives us the best chance of hitting a shot, it's him. I can't agree anymore. Fournier, I'm calling him FIBA Fournier for now on. He's earned that name. I'm happy he played FIBA over the summer because it's carried on.
I wouldn't go that far. I will call him that for today, Friday. This week I've been calling him that. He's got to show me tonight against the Wizards he can do it again.
No, he's played very well.
That's the problem.
He's shooting the 3-ball very well as well.
I think this is going to be the first topic or our first pass and shoot that we all agree.
There we go.
Yes.
I'm shooting. And the reason why is there's no other player on our team, and I think maybe second would be DJ Augustine, that I would feel comfortable taking the last shot. And the ball needs to be in his hand. I'm not saying that this is something that we should, hold on to for his whole entire career. I feel like there are better, but for right now, this is the guy that's on our team. He's our guy. He's our player, and he's the best person to put us in that position when the game is on the line. He's our best triple threat player. You can give him the ball. He's going to protect it. He can put the ball on the floor. He can penetrate. He can pass the ball really well to Nikola Vucevic specifically. So it's
a teardrop game too. So
he is someone that he's not afraid to take the big shot. One of the shots was a big shot against DeMar DeRozan himself. So it's one of those things where he's providing massive amount of offensive power, and it's something that this team desperately needs, and he is playing really, really well. The ones that are talking bad about him, they're still a little sour from the very bad season we received from him last year. But he is coming around. He is leading this team. There's no way that we would win that Spurs game without him.
That's right.
I agree.
All right, so let's get into the next one. So the Human Torch, he went off this last game from the bench, scored 20 points from the bench, played extremely well. Is the Human Torch back?
I say so, yes. I feel like that rest, the what was it, a game or two that he rested because of knee tendonitis. I feel like that was a big turnaround for him.
Yeah.
I play basketball myself, so I can understand when you're not shooting well. A lot of it comes under your legs. If you don't have your legs, that your shot's going to be a little dry.
He had that Achilles injury in preseason, and Clifford just said that he believes part of the reason why he was struggling a little bit was that. So those 2 games he's had out really helped.
Yes, and in the last 2-3 games, he's definitely showed up. The San Antonio game was big. He had 18 points in the second half. We needed him. J.I. was out, and he torched the Spurs at the end.
He torched the Spurs.
That's perfect.
Good play on words. But I will shoot, but with caution, because I will say he's a shooter. He's going to shoot. That's what he does. But that's not enough. I think Steve has to run plays specifically to get Terrence Ross involved. When you kind of don't run things for him and you kind of just let him play out there, sometimes
take some crazy shots.
But sometimes he kind of disappears, in the same way that like Aaron Gordon does, for example. So I think it's important for Cliff to keep him involved and make it a point to keep him involved. But as of right now, yes, the torch is lit.
So for me, kind of like you, so I am going to shoot it in the paint, however. And just because, again, we don't know how healthy he is just yet. Maybe he's feeling good and needs getting better. But then again, he's also inconsistent. That has been Terrence Ross' issue his whole career.
Yeah.
So I am going to say I'm going to shoot it from the paint for now. I love Terrence Ross, one of my favorite players on the team. But again, I want to see that more consistency from him before I can say I'm going to shoot and say, hey, he's back 100%.
Right.
I'm passing because it's just been one game. I think he he can get over it. I guess we'll find out today in today's game. It was one game. I think that for a shooter, for a player like Terrence Ross, we have to be able to see the consistency. Now, I'm not saying he has to go out and shoot 20 points from the bench every single game,
right?
But I need him to get back to being that threat, because that threat is what opens up the floor for everyone else. So until I physically see it consistently, I'm going to pass on it until, you know, I start to see it, you know, game after game after game. The shot just has to fall. And I feel like for a shooter, once you get that confidence, I think that you can build off of that. So I'm interested to see in tonight's game whether or not that's something that can that we've seen that is back, or if it's just the one game and he still has to keep working on it.
Yeah, and you definitely saw once he started hitting a couple of them, he started feeling himself a little bit. And his game is all about rhythm. So, you know, once you keep him involved, once that ball comes to him, you know, at the perfect time on those flare screens he likes to run, those are guaranteed buckets.
Now, I will say that he will forever have the green light with me. It doesn't matter how bad his shooting is. I'm not going to be mad at the shot that he takes, because he's that type of caliber player. He can hit those shots.
He's probably the only guy with an actual green light on the team.
And I don't mind that. Like any shot he takes, I said it before, I believe he's going in. Every shot he takes. So I prefer him to do that than to have Gordon dribbling 10 times and taking some random shot.
Yeah.
So he's proven he hits difficult shots as well. I would like to see him take easier shots and get him in rhythm, like Justin said. But I'll leave that up to coach. Get the green lights on.
All right, so now it's time to get into everyone's favorite segment. Get off your chest. We have a couple of entries that we posted on the Orlando Magic HQ Instagram post and on the OZone Pod on Instagram. So a couple of ones that we chosen. The very first one comes from Raj Zaveri from Instagram, and he says, really disappointed with how Mo's been playing. Feels like he had unreal potential but just doesn't care.
I don't blame him. I really don't. Like I said, my biggest issue with Mo is, you know, his motor. You know, I when I see Mo Bamba on the floor, I expect him to at least get a few blocks a game. You know, there was a few layups on the San Antonio game that I'm like, wow, that should have been a block, you know. As far as him saying that he doesn't care, I'm not sure. We're not around him to really know that. But I could agree. I'm really disappointed in Obama this far this season. I'm hoping he could turn it around. I think he can, you know. I just think it's just a mentality thing for him.
I agree. For me, look, when we look at the stats, Mo's averaging 4 points per game, 4.1 rebounds per game, 0.3 assists, 0.3 steals, and 0.9 blocks. And he's shooting, 35% from the field?
I think that's the only positive.
So his shooting is not, I guess, like atrocious, but this dude has almost an 8-foot wingspan. There's no reason why he should be averaging under 1 block per game, right? Because he's in the paint long enough to impact somehow. You know what I mean? We're not asking him to put up 10, 15 points a game. We're not asking him to kind of lead the break in transition. All you got to do is get a couple blocks, impact the game defensively. And I feel like that's where he's struggling the most. And it's not to be too hard on Bamba, because that's not what I'm trying to do. But I am realistic. It feels like he's not cut out for the position, or he's not cut out for the role that we thought he was going to have on this team. That's not to say that we need to get rid of him right now. But last episode, or a couple episodes ago, when I did talk about Mo playing sometime in the G League, a lot of people thought I was crazy and that it was a hot take and I was saying it just to say it. But this is a guy that needs to kind of have some time to kind of further develop his game, familiarize himself with what is going on the court, and be the best player on the court for a little bit to boost his morale and his confidence. Because as of right now, it feels like he's struggling and he's not contributing to the team in the way that we need him to.
He needs to earn his minutes.
I agree. I think if we continue to play him the way that we're playing him, we're gonna do him more of a disservice than a service, because it's gonna kind of stunt his development later on, and it's gonna make him, you know, not valuable across the league, and that's not something that he wants or the team wants.
And I'm right there with you guys too. I think that Mo unfortunately hasn't lived to what we expected. I know I saw on Twitter this week somebody mentioned that this is his rookie season, technically still, right? He missed most of last year. I think it was something like 56 games so far in his career. So he's still under that rookie mentality, adapting to the NBA. The problem is we have a service center sitting as a third string right now in Ken Burge that can help us around. So, like you mentioned, let's earn those minutes. I love Bamba. I think that his potential is incredible, much like Isaac. Maybe not as high as Isaac, but close enough. He just needs to earn his minutes, work in practice.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm disappointed. We heard about all this weight he added in the summer, all this muscle he added. He trained the whole summer with the team. So you figured he'll be living up to at least, like you said, averaging 1-2 blocks a game. And that's not happening. I don't know about you guys, but when he's in the game, I'm looking forward to Vucevic coming back in. Like I just don't trust those minutes going to him because we should lose the lead. It's just not fun to watch when he's out there right now.
I don't mind seeing Ken Burch 10, 15 minutes out there.
He's going to hustle.
Because you know what we're going to get from him.
That's right.
Mo Bamba should not be in the game, period. He's a liability on both the offensive end and the defensive end. If you're that big, and we're not, like you said, Justin, we're not expecting him for him to go out there and drop 20 points for us. We're expecting him to be out there active and have a defensive presence.
Big
anything.
presence.
Go out there and play with a little heart and hustle. Go out there and act like a dog. And he's not doing that. And I agree with you, Mark, what you just said. Make him earn his minutes. Take his position away. Put Ken Burch in the game that is going to impact the game defensively. He's going to go out there. He's going to grab rebounds and blocks. He's going to play defense. He's going to fight. And we just don't see any of that. We don't see any motor from Mo Bamba at all.
So Mo is what, 7 feet, 7'1", something like that.
7'1".
And there's various times that when he's on the floor, you have shooting guards that are what, 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", maybe
boxing him out,
6'7", boxing him out, grabbing rebounds over him. That should not be the case. When you lift your arms up and you could damn near touch the rim, there's no reason why a guy that's probably, when you talk about reach, maybe 6-8 inches shorter than you, is given so much more effort that he's stealing your rebounds. That's a problem.
It's an IQ issue. It's obvious. Like I said, he gets a rebound. The first thing he does is he puts the ball down. Always gets a slapped. He finally gets a rebound or it sets a screen, and it's not strong enough. He's moving, so it's an offensive foul. So there's just little IQ pieces that are not there right now. So why are we forcing him when we have somebody who can, for the time being, play while he develops those skills
and give us valuable minutes in Ken Burch?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that he has to. Do I care if he gets 2-3 blocks? Sure, it'll be nice. I don't care if he gets a block. So what I do care is that he's in the right defensive positions. He's altering shots, getting deflections, playing the same type of defensive intensity like a Jonathan Isaac.
Yep.
Granted, I'm not expecting for him to be that elite, but at least fear players taking the ball down into the rim.
Can't teach effort.
Make an impact.
Can't teach effort.
That's the thing.
Yeah, so let's get into the next one. So we have D_Martin87 on Instagram that says, "Can we all be happy about what we've seen from Markelle Fultz so far?"
Yeah, I think Markelle is taking off. It is happening little by little, mostly because of kind of the restrictions that Cliff is putting on his minutes. But when he's there, it feels like he's doing the right thing. He's making the right reads. He's giving 100% effort on defense consistently. He's getting to the basket, which is one of those things, enforcing fouls, which is one of those things that the Magic have struggled with. His free throw shooting is on point. So he's one of those guys that is giving us valuable minutes at his position. I think I might be wrong, but I think he's given us like the highest plus-minus differential on the team.
He is.
Yeah, so I'm very happy with Markelle now, and I think as the season goes on and the more minutes he plays and the more he familiarizes himself with the schemes and whatnot, I think Markelle is going to be our best player.
I think he is what we expected him to be. I think if you were expecting him to come in and shoot 45% from three-point range, you're lying to yourself. Mm-hmm. But when I look at the numbers right now, so 9.8 points per game, 3.2 assists, 2.2 rebounds, 1.3 steals, 1.4 turnovers only. That's gotten much better recently. Actually, against the Spurs, no turnovers in that game. Free throw, 81%. And from the field, he's shooting right now 45%. So now, three-point range, 16%. So let's not lie to ourselves. That's developing.
Right.
But we did hear last week that he was only working within 15 feet the whole summer. That was his shooting range. That's what they wanted him to be doing. Mm-hmm. Now they expanded to the three-point range. So it's going to get better. Overall, though, I don't know about you guys, but I go to every Magic game, and I cannot wait for that kid to be on the court.
Just a ton of excitement around
when he's
him.
out there, good things are going to happen. Either a good pass, a good find. He'll make the right read attacking the basket. So for me, loving it so far. I would not have expected anything more than what he's done so far. Almost averaging 10 points a game while only playing 20 minutes a night. Mm-hmm. Imagine when that gets expanded to 35 minutes a game. There'll be 18 points a game easily. So that's that first round pick talent that we knew he was going to be.
Right.
So I'm loving it so far. I think, again, that gamble that we took is paying off.
Yeah.
I mean, to add to that, the value that we receive from him is still insane.
Oh, yeah.
If you're taking the stats, if you're looking at the stats and looking to see what he produced for Philly last season and what he did for us, the stats aren't that much different. They're pretty similar if you really take a look at it. The difference is he seems like he wants to play for us. He seems like he likes his teammates.
His enthusiasm.
Yeah,
is there.
he likes the environment.
He's confident.
He's very confident, and he's shooting more. So you can see that it for him personally, if he would have stayed in Philly for whatever reason, right, his growth would have stunted his growth in Philadelphia.
Right.
They wanted it right away.
Yeah, here he has the potential and the group to help to get him, to improve, the development team to get him better. So I think for one, what we got from him is a starting point guard, a big point guard that, offensively he's leading the charge in the penetration that we receive. He's opening the floor for us in ways that we couldn't do with a 6-foot point guard.
Right. And he's, kind of piggybacking a little bit on what you said. He's in an environment where everyone wants to see him thrive. Everyone wants for him to be successful because his success means everyone else around him is successful. I'm not super familiar because I'm not a Sixers fan. I'm not super familiar with what was going on in Philly. But from what I've read, and what I've heard on interviews and whatnot, it didn't seem like that was the case out there. No. It kind of felt like it was rushed. It was a issue that he wasn't performing at the level that he should have. And Philly was kind of, which is not necessarily their fault, but they were kind of on the up and up. They were trying to kind of become the best team in the East. I would say. Yeah, in a win now mode. So I think coming to a team that had lesser expectations definitely is a plus for Markel. All right, guys. So looking at the week ahead, we have 3 games slated, which is starting Sunday with the Wizards, Wednesday against Toronto, and next Saturday against Indiana. Briefly, in a previous podcast episode, we had spoken about kind of tracking our predictions and the loser having to do, something for being the loser. We're going to go ahead and call that the loser's reward. But we are going to change it up a bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick one game each week, the most important game of the week, and that's going to be what accounts as our prediction. So we all make a prediction for that game of the week, and we track that. At the end of the month, whoever has the lowest winning percentage out of the 4 picks gets the loser's reward. And we will
wait for that.
That'll be fun.
Can't wait for that.
And we'll put ideas on Twitter. And you guys can kind of vote on those, and whatever the winning topic is, or whatever the winning reward is, the loser has to do.
Please do not go easy on us.
I already have ideas, and waiver forms will need to be signed.
All right, so just looking at the week ahead. So tonight we're playing the Wizards. How do you guys feel?
So I think tonight, we're looking at the whole week in general. So tonight, I think we should easily win that game. I think the Wizards are a team in full rebuild mode, except for the fact that they have Beal going off. So I expect a win tonight. Toronto, which is our game of the week, by the way, I expect us to win that game. And Indiana, tough place to play on the road. I'm going to say we lose that one. So I'm going to say for the week for us, 2-1, game of the week, win against Toronto.
Okay. For me, I'm probably gonna go 2-1 as well, but I think we'll lose to Toronto. I think we have a redemption game against Indiana.
That's a home game, right?
Away.
No, the Toronto game is away. But we have a redemption game against Indiana, who we should have won against last week, and we didn't. We kind of let it go towards the end. So I think we're gonna come out with a little bit of extra motivation for that game. So I am saying 2-1, win against the Wizards, win against Indiana, and loss against the Raptors.
I think we could have a great win tonight. I'm just gonna throw out statistic out there. Beal is on a tear right now in the NBA. He's averaging 29.7 points per game. And his last 2 games, he's scored 44 points and 44 points. We do have our work cut out for us today. I wouldn't say it's an easy win. But that he's definitely going to, I would say, should be our main focus tonight is to guard. That guy's a human torch. Sorry, Ross, but that guy's torching right now. Yeah. So I would say we win tonight. I like our chances against Toronto. I just wish we have a lot of a fight. You know, Toronto keeps taking us down, and I think it's about time that we go into their house and put some little respect in our name. So I would say we win that one, and I agree with Alvaro. I don't think we're ready for Indiana yet. Our biggest weakness on defensive end right now is guarding the pick and roll, the pick and pop, and that's something they tortured us last game. Especially T.J. McConnell, Malcolm Brogdon. They lived off the pick and roll game, the pick and pop game. If we're not ready for that, then I don't see a win in that one.
So for me, I'm actually going to agree with Justin. So I got us winning tonight against the Wizards, a loss against Toronto, and then a win for Indiana. I think the Indiana game is going to be the revenge game for us. I think Toronto's always been like that team that we just struggle with, and I think that's just still going to continue. Matchup wise, I'm looking forward to the round 2 of the Pascal Siakam and Jonathan Isaac. Yes. Especially now that I feel like Jonathan Isaac knows, like he's like everyone's talking about, like there's no way that he doesn't know that he's just a beast on the defensive end. Right. So I feel like him bringing that intensity is going to be fun to watch. But for me personally, I'm excited for tonight's game. Just because Bradley Beal is on my list, my wish list of players that I would like to see.
Christmas is around the corner.
He's a Florida. He played for UF, 6'5", 6'8" wingspan, offensive machine. Like I think that he would fit really good with this team. So I'm excited to see him, and just kind of fantasize about him wearing orange and blue.
Yeah. So we're starting our first week of predictions that actually count. So Mark and myself got a win against Toronto. Anthony and Justin got to lose against Toronto, so not bad. I like it. So we're halfway. We're 50-50 right now, which I like. So we'll talk on Wednesday, guys. We'll see how that goes.
All right, sounds good. Closing remarks, final thoughts.
Closing thoughts. I just want to make sure that we continue to fight this week ahead. So 3 games, 3 tough games, really. I mean, and I don't think there's an easy game out there. I just want to see us fight. I want us to go to the fourth quarter, either leading or trailing by single digits. And just to keep fighting. That's what our team has been doing for the past 2 years when we're playing well. Some good games against Toronto and Indiana. I want to see that fight continue this week.
One thing I'm looking forward to is seeing if Fournier can continue his consistency. He's playing really well for us. Right now, he has the hot hand on our team. These next few games, we are going to need a scoring punch. I don't see any blowout games on either side of the court, so I see close games coming down to the wire. So for me, I want to see FIBA Fournier in the last 3 minutes.
Justin is smiling right now, just so you know.
Yeah,
I gotta give credit when credit is due,
Right. For me, I want to piggyback off the whole Evan thing. Last game during the Spurs, we saw him getting his teammates involved, which is one of the points that I made the week before, that he had to kind of step up. He was active on defense. His mid-range game was active, and so was the 3-ball. I think when Evan plays like that, he's a dangerous man. So I want to see that continued. I also want to see Terrence Ross active on the offense, because it felt like for a lot of the beginning of the season he wasn't. It was kind of something where we were not looking to get him involved. And if Jonathan Isaac doesn't play tonight against the Wizards, I am down. I am all the way down to see Aminu go off again. Aminu, again, is one of those guys that when he gets big minutes, he plays big roles and gives you big impact plays on both ends of the court. But I think Orlando is in a good place, and moving forward, I think we're going to continue that momentum.
I think one thing to keep an eye on or to look for is Mo Bamba. Kind of see how he does within this next span of games, and then the reaction from Coach Clifford. So if he does well, all right, cool, so we can see the improvements. But if he doesn't, what kind of adjustments will Coach Cliff do? Will he put him on the bench? Will he bring Kent Birch in? Is he still going to try the same thing over and over until, something clicks, something works, whatever the case may be. So something that I'll be looking at. But I think that's it for us, guys. Yeah. Not bad for episode 4. Really excited. We're going to try to get this out either later this afternoon So you should be hearing this either Sunday night or Monday morning on the drive to work. Till next time, peace.
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 Thank you for listening to the OZone podcast, the voice of Magic fans.
Check out the ozonepod.com. Remember to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast on your favorite listening platforms.
Until next time, it's go Ozone, go Ozone, go. Go Ozone, go Ozone, go. Go Ozone, go Ozone, go.